If a 155% tariff lands on November 1st, your prices and plans change fast. Is this real leverage or a self-inflicted hit? Let's unpack it. Here's the tension. The president says a 155% tariff on Chinese imports starts November 1. Separately, he's touting a 100% add-on for 2025, over and above current rates. Do those stack, or are they staged? We'll come back to that because your wallet depends on the answer. First, the facts we have. In Washington on Tuesday, responding to a question by ANI that referenced China's role as Russia's biggest oil buyer, the president said the U.S. will continue with their plans to impose a 155% tariff on Chinese goods beginning November 1. He framed it as tough but necessary after years of one-sided economic dealings, blaming past presidents for letting countries take advantage of us. He also cited earlier deals with the European Union, Japan, and South Korea, arguing tariffs were the national security lever that made them possible. Then there's a second track. In a Truth Social post, he announced an additional 100% tariff over and above any tariff that they are currently paying, effective November 1, 2025, or sooner depending on China's actions. He paired that with U.S. export controls on any and all critical software, starting the same day, tying it to what he described as a hostile letter from China threatening broad export controls of their own. That's the skeleton of the story. Why should this matter to you now? Because tariffs don't live in headlines. They live in receipts. A tariff is a tax paid at the border. Importers either pass it to you as higher prices or they eat it and cut elsewhere. Payroll, product choice, store hours. If you're a small shop depending on Chinese components, a 155% hit doesn't just squeeze margins, it rewrites your ordering list. If you're a parent budgeting for a winter coat, a phone battery, or a blender, price jumps, even partial ones, pile up. And if your job depends on reliable software and parts, the phrase critical software has your attention. What counts? We'll circle back. Let's give the president's case its strongest form. He says, tariffs deliver leverage. He says his EU, Japan, and South Korea deals show it. He casts tariffs as national security, not just economics, especially if, as he alleges, China plans sweeping export controls starting November 1, 2025. Seen that way, pressure is the point. If Beijing can choke supply, Washington needs a counter. A fair rebuttal starts with your cost of living. Tariffs can force talks, but they can also raise prices and sow uncertainty. Uncertainty itself is a tax on families who need predictable bills and on small businesses that need stable inputs. And any and all critical software is an exceptionally broad phrase. Does that mean defense systems only? Industrial controls? Developer tools? Without definitions, companies hold back. That shows up as delays, not just dollars. If we care about dignity of work, functioning services, and steady rules, core democratic values, the bar is clarity and precision, not vibes and surprise. Let's lay out the receipts woven into this moment. According to his Tuesday comments, the 155% tariff starts November 1st, justified by one-sided dealings and China's role in energy trade with Russia. He praised earlier deals with the EU, Japan, and South Korea, and said tariffs bring in hundreds of billions, even trillions, framing it as debt relief. In his Truth Social post, he promised a separate 100% over and above tariff effective November 1, 2025, or sooner depending on China, plus U.S. export controls on any and all critical software. He attributed that to what he called a Chinese hostile letter, announcing export controls on virtually every product they make. He also situated this in a wider secondary tariff strategy aimed at countries allegedly aiding Russia through energy trade, pointing to a 50% tariff previously imposed on India for Russian oil imports. That's the record he's putting forward. Now the human stakes: money, time, and stability. For families, the fastest pain points are consumer electronics, home goods, apparel basics, and small appliances. Even a partial pass-through of a triple-digit tariff nudges prices up. For small manufacturers and contractors, component costs and lead times get wobbly. For workers, volatility can mean fewer hours or squeezed raises. For anyone in operations, critical software rules could complicate updates or licensing if cross-border transfers get throttled. The uncertainty is as real as the tariff. Is that how you want to experience leverage? Let's tackle the most confusing piece. Do 155% and 100% over and above add together? The Tuesday remarks describe a 155% tariff beginning November 1st. The social post sets an additional 100% on top of whatever is currently paid starting November 1st, 2025, or earlier if China escalates. Without implementing language, product lists, rates, and dates, we can't do the exact math. Are we looking at 2 phases? Narrower lists later? This is where formal notices matter. We'll talk about what to watch. Before that, the geopolitics. The president frames this as part of pressuring countries perceived to be aiding Russia's war effort via energy trade. China is the world's largest importer of Russian crude, and he's signaling that secondary pressure now includes massive tariffs. Agree or disagree with the goal, calibration decides the cost at home. Are we aiming a rifle or a shotgun? Do we know which targets are covered and when? Those questions decide whether this feels like principled leverage or sticker shock. Here's how to think about likely paths from here. Scenario 1. More likely than not, we see a first tranche on November 1st focused on specific categories. That's how complex measures usually roll out. If that happens, you'll feel price and supply pressure in pockets before it spreads. Scenario 2. Plausible. The announcement triggers talks that delay or reshape the 155% rate. If you hear suspension, phase in, or review, that's your signal. Scenario 3. Less likely but not impossible. The full 155% hits broadly and quickly, with hints about the 2025 add-on. That would trigger a scramble to substitute away from China, more back orders, and visible price bumps. Where do democratic values meet this moment? Incompetent government that protects people while pressing for fair rules. That means publish the details, HS codes, timelines, exclusions, so businesses can adapt and families can plan. It means tailor measures tightly to national security aims and Russia sanctions, not broad blasts that inflate grocery lines. And it means working with allies so pressure is coordinated, not chaotic. That's not softness, that's seriousness. Let's reopen our curiosity loops and pay them off. First, do the headline numbers stack? We don't know yet. We need the formal schedules. Second, what is critical software? We need definitions. Are we talking defense, industrial, or general developer tooling? The answer determines whether factories, clinics, and schools see update delays. Third, how does the Russia angle shape scope? If this is about energy trade and sanctions, you'd expect targeting that reflects that. Otherwise, families pay for symbolism. What should you watch next? The clock says November 1st. If this is real on that date, importers will look for official tariff proclamations and product schedules that name covered goods and rates. U.S. Customs guidance will indicate how collection works. Exclusions or grace periods would signal an attempt to limit collateral damage. On the software front, companies will look for export control classifications and license triggers. If we don't see public lists, expect uncertainty to become the story. Let's translate that to your to-do list. If you run a business, Ask suppliers which SKUs are tariff-exposed and whether substitutes exist. Consider inventory timing if you're on the edge of a reorder. If you're a consumer with a time-sensitive big purchase, decide whether you can switch to non-Chinese brands or pull the trigger early. If you manage IT or operations, map your software dependencies and watch for any export control classifications that touch them. Clarity is power here. Now, the pushback you'll hear. Tariffs bring back jobs, period. Pressure can shift incentives, yes, but jobs stick when pressure comes with a plan, investment in workers, domestic capacity, and predictable procurement. So production has somewhere to land. Without that, we get headlines now and higher prices tomorrow. A pro-worker approach pairs leverage with a landing zone. Predictions, clearly labeled as speculation. More likely than not, November 1st brings a narrower first wave, not an all-category shock. Even odds we see rapid talks that delay or trim the 155% headline. Less likely, but watch for it, a broad hit that forces quick substitution and visible price jumps by holiday season. If critical software stays undefined into November, expect companies to overcomply, pausing updates until rules settle. That's its own drag. So, is this leverage or a self-inflicted hit? Right now, it's leverage with a high carrying cost. The president has set aggressive numbers, 155% now, 100% over and above in 2025, and framed them as national security and sanctions strategy. That can move negotiations. But at this scale, the difference between smart pressure and avoidable pain is detail. Product lists, timelines, and tight definitions that protect families and small businesses while pressing China hard. Here's the clean payoff. The numbers are big. The calendar is close. If the administration publishes clear schedules and defines critical software narrowly and publicly, you can adapt. If not, you'll feel this first as price spikes, delays, and headaches, long before any negotiating win shows up. That's why competence and clarity matter. Your turn. Who should move next, and why? Should the White House release product lists and software definitions before November 1st? Or push hard now and sort it out after? Tell me what you're seeing on shelves where you live. If this helped, subscribe for more clear, fact-first breakdowns.
If you enjoyed the video, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any new videos.